I don't do the camera. I do camera when we're just like 5 or 6 guys at subcommittee meeting. Hello, this is Alderman Wilson checking in.
Hi, Alderman Wilson.
Good evening, how are you tonight?
This conference will now be recorded.
I'm on.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Warrenville City Council regular meeting for December 6th, 2021. In accordance with Governor Pritzker's disaster proclamation, Section 7E of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, and a determination by the mayor of the City of Warrenville, this meeting will be held virtually. Although public attendance is not limited at this time, persons wishing to provide public comment are strongly encouraged to submit written comments via email at info@warrenville.il.us by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. And I remind you that this meeting is being recorded. It is also the city's policy to require face coverings during all public meetings in City Hall, regardless of vaccination status, unless a minimum of 6 feet of separation from others can be consistently maintained, a situation that we have currently. That's why we are unmasked. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Brummel,
Here.
Alderman Anderson,
Here.
Alderman Ashauer,
Here.
Alderman Berry,
Here.
Alderman Davalos,
Here.
Alderman Goodman,
Here.
Alderman Krischel,
Here.
Alderman Widener,
Here.
Alderman Wilson,
Here.
City Clerk Julie Clark here, City Treasurer Ann Behrens, City Attorney Brooke Lenneman,
Here.
City Administrator John Coakley,
Here.
Assistant City Administrator Christina White, here, Police Chief Ray Torano,
Here.
Finance Director Kevin Dahlstrand,
Here.
Community and Economic Development Director Ron Menzer,
Here.
Public Works Director Phil Kukler.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is the part of the meeting that we set aside every time for citizens' comments. That can be accomplished in 3 ways. You can send an email before the meeting, and I understand there are none of those this evening. We'll wait and ask for anyone who's online who would like to make a comment. First of all, we'll take the person who's showed up this evening, Mr. Bob Siebert.
Bob Siebert, Albright Court. The ordinance 020221-40 was passed on November 1st. On page 2 of this ordinance, it states, whereas the owner no longer intends to construct the proposed development and instead proposes that the sequestral subdivision property will be developed with one single-family home, an accessory horse barn, garage, and driveway. I have 3 concerns with this ordinance. The first is what occurs when you combine 10 lots into one with the same zoning. What occurs is with the horses, in the first situation, as the multiple lots, you need 1 acre per horse. That means that subdivision would have 10 or could have 10 horses. When you combine it to one lot, after the first acre, each horse needs a half acre, which means we have now taken that same property and gone from 10 horses to more than 20 horses on this same property. With the barn, if we're looking at the barn, if we have the 10 lots with the same zoning, we have 10 lots, and with the percentage of lot coverage, you would probably be able to put between 400 and 500 square foot barn on each property. But when we combine it into one lot with the same zoning, you can have over 40,000 square foot building, a 200 by 200 foot barn. And in many cases, they have, on horse areas, they have internal riding areas. So when you pass this, there was nothing stated as far as the size of the barn or the size of the garage. Whereas in the zoning, there is a lot percentage coverage. But when you go to the larger lots, you don't get it. So there are some concerns here, because when I requested the sizes of the buildings, I received a statement back from the city. They have no information on sizes of the garage, the barn, since there hasn't been any request. However, for an adjacent property owner, I would think there would have been some conditions placed on this. Then, on page 3 of the ordinance, it states under 3II, the alternative plan, the owner is not required to construct the utility extensions if the sequestral subdivision property is developed and used as a single zoning lot with one single-family home and associated garage, horse barn, and driveway in accordance with all applicable city codes and ordinances. In the committee meeting in October of this year, the discussion on this was such that 1/10 of the $375,000 would be paid. However, that is not addressed in this ordinance at all. So the question or concern here is, what is the charge to the single-family house for utilities to be served if there's one unit? On page 5, in the development, it goes over another situation that was not discussed at the committee meeting, a recapture agreement with the Kleinman property, which, as we all know, is the Everton development that is developed. A recapture where the current property owner of the sequestral property, upon notification from the city, will institute into an agreement recapture written by the city attorney to obtain a recapture for larger pipes to service the Everton development. And it states under section 3DII, assign all the owner's rights, title, or interest in any recapture fees due or collected from the owner of the Kleinman property pursuant to the recapture agreement to the city. think I know where this is headed, and I have some concerns, as I also have some concerns with the cost of servicing the one house in this particular property. And I think that this is an excellent example of what many times is described in logic as a fallacy of composition, where we can see the individual units or pieces. What is prevalent there is not necessarily prevalent in the whole when we create one lot.
Thank you, Bob. Community and Economic Development Director Metzer, would you like to issue any clarifications at this time, or would you prefer to respond at another time?
Mayor, I can just offer just a brief comment that it's a number of the concerns that the resident raised, I think, are based on a clear misunderstanding of the various approvals that have been granted for this property, both in relationship to the subdivision. There's not 10 lots that exist at that location at this point in time. The 10 lots or more that he was referring to were a preliminary plat that was approved approximately a decade or more than a decade ago and never was implemented. So there's not 10 lots there. The city also does have a recapture or differential tap-on fee that they approved essentially at the same time the agreement that he was referencing was approved, and it addresses the sewer and water tap-on fees that he expressed some concern about, and it does require that the owner of the property, current owner of the property, pay, I think it's somewhere around $35,000, $36,000, maybe $37,000 to tap onto city sewer and water when they build the single house on the property. I'd be happy to sit down with the resident and walk through all the various approvals and city ordinance requirements that do apply to this property. But they are our standard rules and regulations that apply to any residentially zoned property in the community. So we have not approved any special dispensations, special variances that would allow somebody to do more on this property than any other residentially zoned property in the community. That's not to say that somebody might not request those special approvals. If that ever comes to fruition, there'll be a public notice and a public hearing, and all surrounding property owners will receive public notice of the date of that hearing and have an opportunity to become informed and provide input on the request at that time. But at this point in time, we're not anticipating that would happen. But if it does, we will make sure that the formal public hearing process is followed.
Thank you, Ron. Hopefully that's helpful, Bob, and you're always welcome to call Ron and ask questions and get them answered directly. Do we have anyone on the line who wishes to make a comment this evening? Please speak up and identify yourself. Hearing none, this is the last opportunity at this meeting for public comment, and we will move on to official and staff comments, beginning with myself. Just a huge shout out to our Public Works Department for how beautiful the downtown looks this year. Every year it seems to get a little bit better. It's absolutely spectacular this year. They did a superb job of lighting things up and making them appropriate for the holidays. So I just wanted to recognize that. Holidays was the brightest and the shiniest and the most fun ever. It was a great crowd. The city looked beautiful, and the weather cooperated for a change, so that was kind of nice. So thanks again to Public Works. Every year they do a great job. This year it was outstanding. And a reminder too that this is the last week to donate to the Toys for Tots program that's done through the police department. This is the final week, so if you have a question on how to accomplish that, you can go to our website and you can find the information you need there, or call the department and ask someone there. That's all I have for this evening. Clerk?
Nope, I have nothing.
Thank you, and treasurer is not here. We'll go through the aldermen and see if they have comments for this evening, beginning with Alderman Anderson. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. No comment for that.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Ashauer?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Berry?
No comments, thank you.
Very good. Alderman Davalos?
Yes, I would just like to say one thing and remind everybody that our landscaping company, Groot, is extending landscape recycling or pickup, I guess, to, well, in my case, it's this Friday, but it's this week, I believe. And I would just like to, number one, say thank you because I thought I'd missed it. Anyway, so I was glad for that extension just because the weather's been nice enough to keep collecting things and it's nice they can be taken away. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Goodman?
Yes, I'll second Alderman Davalos. I think the extension by the waste hauler group was a good idea for a lot of people whose leaves just didn't come down early this year due to the weather. I want to wish everybody who celebrated a very happy Hanukkah. Today was the last day. I know that the holiday season a little early this year, but a happy holidays to you all.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Chrisell?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Widener?
Yes, good evening. Just wanted to remind the community of the national cyclocross event that's happening next door to our community at Cantini Park. And I'm sure as a result of it, our hotels and restaurants will benefit by the attendance of the participants and the spectators all coming to watch. I think it begins tomorrow and runs through Sunday. So exciting. If you've never seen it, it's like steeplechase on bicycles and a lot of fun and a lot of mud for the participants. Thank you.
And you're going to win your age group, right, Alderman?
I think I'm beyond category on my age group.
Okay, then. I guess you're safe. You're marked safe from the cyclocross. Thank you. Alderman Wilson?
I have no comment except Bill's comment. Great. Sign up anyway, Bill.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the city administrator. Good evening, John.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to add tonight.
Very good. And city attorney Brooke Lenneman. Brooke, good evening.
Good evening. I have nothing, no comments tonight, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We'll move on then to the approval of the agenda for this evening. Alderman Widener, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, thank you. I move to approve the agenda for the December 6th, 2021 City Council regular meeting.
Second, Alderman Davalos.
Motion and a second on approval of the agenda. Any comments or questions or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Goodman?
Aye.
Alderman Anderson?
Aye.
Alderman Widener?
Aye.
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell?
Aye.
Alderman Berry?
Aye.
Alderman Ashour?
Aye.
Alderman Davalos?
Aye.
Thank you, Julie. The agenda as read has been approved. We have the need of approval of 3 sets of minutes. Alderman Widener again, please.
Mayor, I'd prefer that somebody else make a motion to approve these minutes since I was absent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who would like to pick up the slack?
I move to approve these minutes. Alderman Wilson?
Second, Alderman Davalos. I don't know if we need to
Motion and a
list the
second
date.
discussion. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Davalos?
Aye.
Alderman Berry?
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell?
Aye.
Alderman Goodman?
Aye.
Alderman Anderson?
Aye.
Alderman Widener?
Aye.
Alderman Ashour?
Aye.
Very good. The minutes are approved. The consent agenda for this evening, item 6A, accept Public Safety and Finance Committee recommendation, waive second reading and pass ordinance 02021-43, approving an amended authorized personnel strength ordinance to reflect the records supervisor and 2 records assistants. B, offer first reading of the 2021 property tax levy ordinance 02021-44 for the levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2021 and ending April 30th, 2022. C, accept Public Safety and Finance Committee recommendation and pass resolution R2021-67, approving a renewed contract with Gallagher for city insurance coverages for calendar year 2022 in the amount of $452,017. D, accept Public Safety and Finance Committee recommendation and pass resolution R2021-68, authorizing a 5-year agreement with Axon for the Fleet 3 in-car camera system, including the initial 2 cameras in the amount of $24,960. E, accept Senior Civil Engineer Hacking's recommendation and pass resolution R2021-69, approving the reduction of the security letter of credit for public improvements associated with the Everton Apartments project, accepting the bill of sale, and placing the project into the 2-year maintenance period. F, accept Senior Civil Engineer Hacking's recommendation and pass resolution R2021-70, approving the reduction of the security letter of credit for public improvements associated with the Little Friends project and placing the project into the 2-year maintenance period. G, accept Senior Civil Engineer Hacking's recommendation and pass resolution R2021-71, approving the reduction of the security letter of credit for public improvements associated with the Riverview West project, accepting the bill of sale, and placing the project into the 2-year maintenance period. H, authorize a 2% merit increase for the City Administrator Coakley for FY 2022 effective May 1st, 2021. I, accept Public Safety and Finance Committee recommendation and direct staff to include $10,000 in additional funding in the FY 2023 budget for the 2022 Independence Day celebration. J, accept Public Safety and Finance Committee recommendation and approve an amendment to the hotel tax grant policy. K, accept Public Safety and Finance Committee recommendation and approve an amendment to the Warren Tavern funding assistance procedure. L, receive and file minutes of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners meeting held on August 24th, 2021. M, receive and file minutes of the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals meeting held on November 18th, 2021. N, receive and file report of invoices paid up to December 1st, 2021 in the amount of $100,660.15. And O, authorize expenditures for invoices due on or before December 20th, 2021 in the amount of $246,084.08. May I have a motion, please?
Alderman Widener moves to approve the agenda as presented by Mayor David Brummel.
Alderman Wilson will second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Anderson.
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
And Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Motion carries and the consent agenda has been approved for this evening. We'll move on to the regular agenda. We have one item. Would someone like to make that motion, please?
Alderman Davalos, I move to accept staff recommendation and pass resolution R2021-72, authorizing the city to participate in the national opioid settlements.
Alderman Wilson seconds that motion.
Very good. We have a motion and a second by way of introduction. City Administrator Coakley, could you give the public an idea of what we're talking about here?
Yes, thank you. And this is on the regular agenda because it hasn't been discussed with the council previously. As you may recall, a number of states' attorneys general, including Illinois, filed a suit against the opioid, the manufacturer of the opioid pharmaceuticals several years ago. And as a settlement agreement has been formulated But as you'll see in the packet, there's a very simplistic, helpful explanation from IML Executive Director Brad Cole. There's other information and documents in there. But one, if the city is going to participate in it, the state law now requires that the governing body, the city council, needs to authorize the mayor to sign that. Secondly, that's what this resolution would authorize, and then the mayor could sign that agreement. If the council should decide they don't want to participate in it, our numbers, our population would not be counted towards a state settlement probably, and the city would be very unlikely to get any of the proceeds should there be any distributed back to the municipalities, which is anticipated. We won't know until we see it in the future. But that would indicate that we were going to file our own suit, which I would strongly recommend against. I'm sure that our attorney's office would love to get the revenue from that lawsuit, but no, I understand Brooke is shaking her head. It wouldn't be wise for us to try to take on that type of industry alone. I can't imagine the council would want to do that. So our recommendation, the attorney has looked it all over, and our recommendation is that the council approve this and have the mayor sign it, and we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if I need to get into the problems of why they sued the opioid manufacturers or the pharmaceuticals. It's pretty well documented in the news, and we could go on for weeks and weeks and weeks about all the problems that were created in the aftermath. So if there's questions, I know our city attorney could answer them. I can certainly answer them. Please let us know.
Okay, thank you, John. We'll go through the aldermen for questions or comments, either questions for our attorney or for John. We'll begin with Alderman Anderson.
I don't have any questions on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Ashour.
No questions.
Thank you. Alderman Berry.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Davalos.
No questions, thank you.
Very good. Alderman Goodman.
Since we don't have a health department like the county does, it seems more likely that they would have a larger share of this settlement. I mean, would you agree with that estimate? If there's going to be settlement money coming to here, to our county, it would probably go to the DuPage County Health Department rather than go through the city. I mean, depending on how the state decides to distribute this settlement dollars.
I can speak to that, John, if you want. This is Attorney Letterman. The settlement funds will ultimately be distributed according to a distribution agreement that's being negotiated and drafted by the Attorney General's office, the State Attorney General's office. No one has seen that agreement, so we don't know what the proposed distribution structure is. There is a default distribution structure in the settlement agreement that does contemplate distribution to municipalities, but the states can come up with their own plans for the money on their own. So they're working on that. So it's really hard to say, but I will say that some of the original participants in the case are not only states, but also municipalities. So it's not that only state or county governments would get distribution, but how they're distributed and how they determine that is really going to be up to that state settlement distribution agreement, and we'll go from there. It's based on population and some other metrics they're using to try and anticipate the effect of the opioid epidemic on the particular population. I also know that they're contemplating sort of a minimum distribution amount so that it can be an effective amount of money instead of distributing $5,000 or $10,000 or something, which isn't very effective. So it all those factors together with however the Attorney General is planning on doing it will determine the city's share, if any.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Letterman. That's very helpful.
Okay, thank you both. Alderman Chrisell.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Very good. Alderman Widener.
I have no questions either. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alderman Wilson.
I have no questions at all.
All right, very good. We will go on then to a roll call for the motion.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Ashour,
Aye.
Alderman Anderson,
Aye.
Alderman Berry,
Aye.
Alderman Davalos,
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell,
Aye.
Alderman Goodman,
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries. That looks like the conclusion of our business for this evening. We have nothing listed under unfinished business. No new business is there and no need for a closed session. So if I could have a motion to adjourn, please.
I make the motion to adjourn. Alderman Wilson.
Second, Alderman Davalos.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn, and the final roll call, please.
Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Anderson.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
And Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Very good. We are adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance and attention, and we'll see you next time around. Stay safe.
Have a good week, everyone.
Have
Yeah.
a great one.
Good night.
Night.
This conference is no longer being